I still remember the night they gathered in the living room, laughter spilling out like a poison. I stood there, the laughter ringing in my ears, echoing off the walls of my childhood home. "You're seriously going to waste your life studying cursed plants? What next? Mapping the locations of haunted trees?" My brother's voice dripped with ridicule, as if every word were a dagger aimed at my heart. My mother had chimed in. "You'll lose your mind, dear. Just go to medical school like a normal person." But normal was never enough for me. After being dismissed from my post for what they called sabotage of a hospital greenhouse, I had delved into the world of occult epidemiobotany. I became obsessed with the idea that plants, those silent witnesses of nature, carried curses that could unleash devastating plagues. Each leaf, each petal, whispered secrets of ancient diseases. I could hear them. Even if my family refused to listen. Years passed. I spiraled into isolation, chasing the ghosts of knowledge that danced just out of reach. I pored over dusty tomes, studying folklore that spoke of sinister flora capable of manipulating diseases in ways modern science dismissed as mere superstition. The ridicule morphed into shadows that haunted me, yet those shadows became my allies. The day I uncovered the truth, an ancient plant, the Belladonna Nocturna, known for its rumored ability to induce madness and illness with just a touch, was the day I finally felt the thrill of vindication. I had survived the dark depths of botanical curses, standing at the precipice of knowledge that the world refused to face. I published papers, presented at conferences, each success a scar on my family's honor. They had ridiculed me, but now I was renowned, respected, and feared. I returned home, not as the disgraced daughter, but as a bearer of truths too terrible to ignore. My family didn't know I was coming. I wanted to surprise them, to show them what I had become. As I stepped onto the familiar porch, those memories of laughter twisted into a knot of dread in my stomach. Would they still see me as the madwoman they had cast out? The air was thick when I entered the house. My family sat in the living room, the same space where they had laughed at my dreams. My mother's face fell, and my brother's smirk faltered. "What do you want?" he snapped. The bravado of youth replaced by a cautious wariness. My father, once a pillar of strength, looked older, hunched over like the house itself was crumbling. "I've come back," I said, each word heavy with the weight of my journey, "to show you what I've discovered." My family looked at each other, confusion swirling in their eyes. I barely recognized myself in their gazes. Was I the delusional child they had banished, or something more? I opened my satchel, revealing vials filled with dark, viscous liquid, the manifestation of the knowledge I had wrested from the shadows. "This," I said, holding up a vial that shimmered like the night sky, "is the essence of the Belladonna Nocturna. I've isolated its properties." My mother recoiled. "What have you done?" "I've unlocked the secrets of the cursed plants," I continued, my heart racing. "They are not just stories. They are real, and they can manipulate disease in ways we cannot comprehend. It's not just folklore. It's a warning." That's when it happened. A faint rustling began, just outside the window. My family fell silent, eyes darting to the glass pane where an unnatural darkness gathered. It wasn't the kind of darkness that came with night. It was alive, writhing like a shadow with intent. "Stay back!" I shouted, as the shadows surged forward, spilling into the room like liquid obsidian. My family shrieked as the darkness enveloped them, their screams drowning in the nightmarish chorus that I alone understood. "You mocked me!" I cried, the realization crashing over me like the weight of their disbelief. "You dismissed me, and now you're witnessing the consequence of that ignorance." As the shadows twisted and contorted, I felt the pull of the Belladonna Nocturna's essence within me. The room transformed into a macabre theater. the very air thick with the scent of decay and despair. I had become the arbiter of forgotten knowledge, and they were bound to learn the truth the hard way. My family writhed in terror, their faces twisted in horror as the darkness tightened around them, revealing their deepest fears. My mother, once so dismissive, now saw the specters of every unkind word she had ever uttered. My brother, paralyzed by a shadow that mirrored his own laughter, was forced to confront the madness he had derided. "Please," my father cried, his voice breaking, "we believed you were lost." But the shadows had no mercy. They fed on their disbelief, transforming into horrific versions of the very plants I had studied. Toxic vines crept toward them, whispering curses that echoed through the room. They were drowning in the consequences of their own mockery, and I stood witness, heart pounding with a mix of dread and vindication. As the shadows engulfed them, I felt a strange sense of peace wash over me. I had survived the darkness others could not face, and now they were finally understanding the cost of their ridicule. The screams faded into silence, and the darkness receded, leaving me in the hollow shell of the home I once knew. I stepped outside, the night air cool against my skin. I had returned, not just to reclaim my life, but to bear witness to the horrors that lurked beneath the surface of our reality. I was no longer the little girl they had mocked. I was a conduit of knowledge, forever changed by the shadows I had embraced. As I walked away, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. The world had its secrets, and I would uncover them all, one cursed plant at a time. Their laughter, their disbelief, it had transformed into a haunting echo, a reminder of the price of ignorance, and that price was far more than any of them had ever imagined.